I'm ready. Are you sure? You got your coffee? Hey guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Bitcoin because right now your favorite cryptocurrency is sitting just below $59,000, and a lot of people are concerned about it, thinking, oh my gosh, Bitcoin rallied all the way up to $69,000 a couple of days ago. Now it's at 59. Are we going to have a massive drop? Is the bull market over? Should I sell everything? No, you need to calm down. It's all good. Maybe I'm the one that's excited. I'm portraying that, but maybe I'm projecting that. I don't know. But I'm very excited about where Bitcoin is going, guys, and we're going to be talking about it today. But I'm also joined today, as kind of always. He's always in the room, but he's not normally the co-host. T. Shrum. How are you doing, T. Shrum?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Good to see you here, my friend.
Yeah.
You come on and you are the co-host once a month whenever... Actually, you're a co-host twice a month whenever me or Tim are out. You are our backup and you are our fill-in. So I am very excited to talk to T. Shrum. He is one of the people that helps us put the stream together every morning. He's one of the ones that does the research, and he puts together all those really funny questions that I normally get to ask Tim. So today, he wrote a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking him. So we will see what those are in a little bit. We're also joined, as always, by Smay. How you doing, Smay?
Hi, everybody. I'm here as always. And
Hey.
I would like to shout out 3 special people today. I'd like to shout out Neil Melker,
Woo!
Crypto Knight, and
Yep.
Felix Danny Esteva.
So, wait a minute. We got Crypto Knight, the Jebbi Knight?
Yeah.
He's the Crypto Jebbi Knight. That's
Yep.
pretty awesome.
Yep.
That's pretty solid. Hey, T. Shrum, what is the craziest thing that's happened to you while you've been working here?
The craziest thing is that we got 5 bean bags for free. 5
That's true.
very large bean bags, and
Very
I've
expensive
enjoyed
beanbags.
every
And
single one of them.
Somehow there's only 3 now.
What? No, there's 4. I just stole one of them. It's in my office.
No, there's not 4 out there. There's 3. I don't know where
I
they
know,
all went.
what I'm saying is that the 4th one is in my office.
Oh, so there was not 5.
No, there
to
was
begin
5.
with.
There were 5, and then they came back and took one. Guys, we got these awesome corduroy bean bags, and they are so comfy, and we sit down in them every single day and make this show. But speaking of this show, what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be jumping into our altcoin market rundown. As always, we like to start this show looking at some of your top picks. We're going to be looking at AVAX, Avalanche, one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. We're going to be looking at that here up in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to be looking at Matic, and we're also going to be looking at one that I have not done analysis on called Near. We're going to be taking a look at that here in a second. From there, around 9:55, we're going to be jumping into Bitcoin. We have a lot to talk about on Bitcoin. We're currently sitting below the major zone of support between $60,000 and $62,000 that we very much wanted to hold, but we're currently not holding it. Is the bottom in? Are we seeing a rounding bottom, or are we going to pull back down to 54,000 like we talked about yesterday? There's a lot of people there saying that PlanB's prediction of 98K by the end of the month, which is only 12 days away, could still be in play. We're going to talk about all of that. We got a lot to jump into there. We've got like 50 technicals to talk about, so much to go into there. Then we have a couple of news stories here. The first one has to do with why analysts are still remaining bullish on Bitcoin despite this drop. We have an on-chain metric in this article talking about something called the MVRV, which has to do with unrealized profits and losses. It is basically saying that we're undervalued and that Bitcoin needs to rally. We're also going to be talking about the Houston Rockets and NYDIG being Bitcoin sponsors and how a team will be paid in Bitcoin. And then also Jordan Peterson, the author of 12 Rules for Life. You guys probably know him. I have his book sitting on my bookshelf, actually. Just bought more Bitcoin, and he was on a interview with Safadine Amos, the author of The Bitcoin Standard, another book on my bookshelf. Two authors I really enjoy came together. They had some interesting things to talk about, and we also have some interesting things coming out of institutions, as we'll be talking about Ethereum later on in the show. Guys, we got a great show lined up for you today. T. Shrum, you've been looking at the markets every single morning for a while. What is your, even before we get into, the altcoin market rundown, what is your kind of general vibe about the market right now? We've been trading sideways for like 2 weeks. What is just your kind of surface level 30,000 foot perspective on everything?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a lot of strength in alts, specifically Mana. I'm seeing it retain the gains that it's made, and those gains are significant. So I'm thinking that a lot of the strength in those alts, if they've come up and stayed up, another one in Algorand, I think that the strength from those alts and the confidence is just it's going to pour over into some of the bigger name cryptos.
Well, let me ask you this before we get started, because we do want to talk about some of those altcoins. Do you think that when we start to see, because I think we would both agree that there is going to be a resurgence in interest in crypto and a big movement in the next couple of weeks, right? Would you say that's going to happen?
I think so. I think we may go a bit lower before we get higher,
Sure.
but I definitely agree with that sentiment.
So that rally that you and I think is coming, do you think that Bitcoin is going to lead that, or the altcoins are going to lead that?
Ooh, I think you have to put the money on Bitcoin to lead.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's a great leader, and it does it best.
All right. What do you think, Smay? What do you think is going to lead us out of this?
Bitcoin, baby.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks. The Turtle King has spoken. Bitcoin's going to lead us right back up to all-time high. Guys, if you are looking forward to today's stream, make sure to check out that like button. For the low price of 1 click, you can help to support this channel so that we will rank higher in the algorithm, so that we can get the message of Bitcoin out to more people, so that we can help more and more people just like you to become financially free. Let's go ahead and jump straight onto my chart, and we will start here with Avalanche, AVAX. As I told you guys before, it is one of my favorite cryptocurrency projects, and it has a very interesting thing going on the chart that we're going to get to in just a second. But first, let's look at Avalanche over here on CoinMarketCap. It's currently sitting down here at number 12. I learned quite a bit about Avalanche several weeks ago from Kelly, who is working on our research team. He's also in the chat right now. Shout out to Kelly Kellum. Go follow him on Twitter. He's got a great presence over there. Avalanche is really interesting because it has a pretty much infinitely scalable in throughput blockchain that also splits up the different types of transactions. So it allows you to split up the cryptocurrency transactions, the decentralized application transactions into different channels. The way that it was explained to me when I was first learning about Avalanche is that, think about, you got this big city and you're trying to send a bunch of stuff through it. You're trying to send people through, you're trying to send goods through it. You don't just put everything on a giant interstate unless you're, America. But what you would normally do is you would put people on planes, they're trying to go very quickly, people in cars, they're trying to go locally, and then goods on a train, and then maybe there's also a canal. So you kind of split it all up through different media of travel, and it allows the entire infrastructure to operate more efficiently. And that's kind of what Avalanche is doing. That's one of the reasons why it's revolutionary in the blockchain, and specifically the smart contract and decentralized application space. And a lot of people are very excited about it for that reason. But let's go ahead and take a look here at the daily chart for the AVAX over Tether USD. The first thing that jumps out at me, and we've talked about this quite a bit here on the channel, is that Avalanche is currently in a gigantic ascending wedge. It has been in one ever since May, and this, quite frankly, says that we would probably be expecting a movement to the downside. I'm going to give you a counter argument to that, though, here in a second. But let's kind of lay the foundations. There's an uptrending level of resistance that started back on May the 8th. Then we also have 2 touches up here on September the 16th, September the 24th, somewhere in here, mid-September. Then we're also touching this level of resistance. I said support, excuse me. Resistance, again, we're touching it several more times recently. We also have this uptrending level of support that started down here on July 20th when the entire market bottomed out. You'll remember Bitcoin bottomed out the same day. Then we've also touched this level of support several times since then. What Avalanche is doing right now is very interesting because it's trying to break bullish out of a ascending wedge. As you guys know, because we talk about it in the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, which, by the way, I checked our Google reviews. We have 60 reviews, and it's a 4.9 out of 5 on Google reviews. So go check out CT2A on Google reviews if you want to learn more about whether or not you should get the Academy. Anyway, in there, we talk about ascending triangle patterns. They have a 70% chance of breaking to the downside. What does that mean? It basically means whenever a market goes into an ascending triangle pattern, don't expect it to break bullish out of that. If we're looking at the price action of AVAX right now, you can see that it attempted a break above $100 last night. And this is actually why we're talking about Avalanche. It did just set a new all-time high above 100. But here's the thing. I told you guys a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that I thought Avalanche was going to rally up to the $100 territory, but I also think it's going to have a difficult time breaking through it. There's 2 major arguments on AVAX right now. Number 1, it is going to see a bunch of hype and it is going to go through a massive rally and it is going to lead the market. This is possible. And it actually could be happening right now because we see in the top 15, it is the only cryptocurrency that is up over the last 7 days. And it's not up just a little bit. It's up 16%. I think that's because it is a good project. But at the same time, how much can this project decouple from the rest of the market? Because not only is AVAX in an ascending triangle pattern, so too was Ethereum. As you can see right here, Ethereum broke bearish out of it. If Ethereum is not going to be able to continue moving to the upside, then how are we going to expect Avalanche to do so? I think that Avalanche is a good project. And I do think it's going to have a very bullish next couple of months, but, and here's the important part for any of you guys looking to invest in this project, you need to be careful about buying the top. We just hit an all-time high. We are sitting at all-time highs on not only RSI, but also on MACD. If you take a look at RSI down here, we're sitting way up here, double topping at 75. Look on the weekly chart, it's even crazier. We're sitting up at 79. What is one of the #1 rules of trading and investing? Get a good deal. If you're shorting, get a good deal by shorting when you're at 70 or 80 on the RSI. If you're buying and longing, get a good deal by buying down at 30, 40, 50 on the RSI. I think it would be a mistake to buy Avalanche right here if you're trading it. But if you're investing it, I think any time is a good time. I do think the next couple of months are going to be bullish, but I think how bullish it is going to rely heavily on when and where and how the cryptocurrency market is going to bring about more gains. With the entire cryptocurrency market being bearish right now, it doesn't cast a very bullish shadow over Avalanche, even though I do think the next several months are going to be bullish. The next couple of weeks perhaps are not going to be as such. We got a little bit of time here, so I want to ask you, T-Shrum, what is your take on Avalanche? Have you done have you looked into Avalanche at all? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think it's a great project. Again, I would just to kind of echo what Jebb said is like, if you believe in the project, anytime's a good time to buy. But I would challenge you. This is the T-Shroom challenge. Whenever you're looking to invest, if you absolutely just do not have the time and you're just a minute-to-minute worker, whatever you're doing, then just go ahead and pull the trigger and buy something you believe in. But the T-Shroom challenge is to wait a little bit. And for instance, if you wait till Avalanche comes back down to 78.6, you'd be getting in at a 37% better price.
Yep.
Right. And so 37% may not mean much to you in the long run if you're planning on holding for 10 years and you believe in the project.
It's a big deal.
But if you're up for the challenge, the T-Shroom challenge, then you're going to come out 37% higher than those folks who are buying today.
I think we need a hashtag T-Shrum challenge in the chat, guys. And also make sure to hit that like button if you are excited about Avalanche. I think it's a great project, and I am looking to get in on some of it, but I'm not looking to get in on it until we have a little bit more of a dip. Now, another project that you guys are always asking us about, and I've got to sneeze. Let's see if I'm going to be able to do it.
Here it comes.
Woo! Excuse me, guys. I'm normally much better about not having to do that
Gesundheit.
while we're live. The weird thing, tell me in chat, whenever I sneeze, it really hurts my throat. Am I the only one that struggles with that?
Yes.
Does that happen to you?
Nope, it's just you.
It's just me? Okay, crap.
In the whole world, I'd say, probably.
Just me in the whole world? Golly dang, man. I don't know why. Whenever I sneeze, it really hurts my throat. Anyway, we're going to continue going here. We're going to talk about Matic and see if my voice will keep up with us. Taking a look here at Matic tether chart over on Binance, the first thing you're going to notice on Matic is that it is in a gigantic symmetrical triangle pattern. And I do think that Matic is a good project. Let's kind of take a look here quickly at the coin market cap on it, get a little bit of an overview on it. Polygon, fan favorite, you guys are always talking about. It's ranked number 22 on CoinMarketCap, sitting at $10 billion market capitalization. Has had a pretty big dip in the last 3-4 days, but I don't think that's anything to be concerned about. I think right now is a good example of what I was talking about on Avalanche, about trying to get a good deal. Right now, Matic is sitting down here on this uptrending level of support, and this uptrending level of support is pretty important because it's been in play ever since April of this year. I'm still trying to fix my throat. Gosh. It has been sitting on this uptrending level of support ever since April of this year, and we just came down and tested it. So what I'm seeing, for example, on Avalanche versus over here on Matic, is in Avalanche, you're kind of trying to buy right here, when over here on Matic, there's already been a dip. You see what I mean? The RSI right here on Matic is sitting at 37. So if you're looking to, let's say you're trying to invest in Matic and Avalanche, you want to load up your bags in both of them. You think they're both good projects. They both got similar market caps. They're both sitting in that $10 to $15 billion range. They're both sitting in the top 10, top 20, somewhere around there, and you're looking to load up your bags. Which one would you pick? Well, if I were in your shoes, and frankly I am in your shoes because I'm looking to load up on both of these projects, right now Matic is just giving you a better deal. That's what the point is. It's giving you a better deal. On the daily chart and on the weekly chart, you are getting a better deal. Now, that being said, on the daily chart, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our technical indicators, because one of the things that you do need to be aware of is that you might be getting a better deal in a few days. So you're getting a decent deal, but you could be getting a better deal, because I don't know that this downtrend is over. And by the way, guys, here in about 5-6 minutes, we're going to go into our first intermission. We're going to read some super chats. So if you guys have any questions for us, feel free to let us know, and we'll be more than happy to jump into that. Taking a look here at Matic, you can see that's under a sell signal on Lux Algo, and we do have we have turned purple, and we're pushing down here into the EQ cloud. On top of that, we have not yet seen the trend catcher turn red, but we are so far below it that we're very likely to see that happen relatively soon. And if we look down here on Lux Oscillator, we can also see that it is trending to the downside very, very strongly. You can see we hit this top over here on Lux Oscillator right around the time that we hit the top back over here in late October here on Matic. Taking a look just at the candlesticks, you can see that there is a red-green-red formation happening right now, and essentially what that means is that there's a lot of bearishness in Matic. Take a look at the volume. Volume has absolutely dropped off a cliff. So the point I want to make to you here on Matic, I like Matic, think it's a good project. Is it the right time to buy Matic. I think it's a better time to buy Matic than it is to buy Avalanche. However, I think there's probably going to be a little bit more bearishness to come. I don't know that the bottom is in yet on this project. So if you're trying to get the bottom perfectly, you might want to wait a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think it's a decent time to be doing it. Do you have any opinion on Matic at all?
I like Matic, and I really like what you're doing. You know, for the audience, if you can't appreciate the fact that you just got the perspective of Jebb, then I don't know what you're thinking, because this is exactly what's going on here. Is you're being able to see the comparative investment strategy, the comparative investment mindset. Is it's not so much like when to buy right now, but it's to which one is a better buy. And if you're sitting there and you've only got, you've got a really small budget for investment and trading, what you're really gaining here is knowledge of how to look at the markets, how to look at the charts. And, but overall, I think Matic is kind of a buy, but I would put like maybe 80% of the budget you were thinking of buying in, and then wait, because it may drop lower, and then you can average down and get that rest of the 20%.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, that's a really important lesson in trading and investing, is that there's opportunity cost to everything you do. Every dollar you put into Avalanche is a dollar you couldn't put into Matic. Every dollar you put into Matic is a dollar you couldn't put into Ethereum, which is a dollar you can't put into Bitcoin. So that's why it's important to have a comprehensive view of the market, and that's why we're looking at more altcoins nowadays, because we want to make sure that we're not missing out on the best opportunities. I think a lot of these projects are great projects, and there are a lot of opportunities in them. So you definitely don't want to be missing out on that. So let's go ahead and move on to our next project, and then we'll go into our first intermission here. The next one we're going to look at is a new one across my desk called Near. Going to take a look at it over here on CoinMarketCap. It's called Near Protocol, and it's currently sitting at number 40. It has rallied very quickly up here. It has a total maximum supply of 100,000 million billion, boom, 1 billion, and there's currently 548 million in circulating supply, sitting at $9. I'm just going to read from my notes here a little bit. Unlike Ethereum, Near's consensus mechanism works towards fee stabilization. It is not trying to take over Ethereum. At this point, Ethereum is going to be a fixture in the smart contract landscape. However, Near collaborates with and augments Ethereum as another major another major player in the altcoin space. So this is a really interesting project. A lot of you guys have been asking about this. We're going to be kind of quick on this, though, because we do want to move on to our first intermission. Taking a look here at Near, let's just get a little bit of a picture on what's happened over the last several months. Ever since the beginning of this year, I'm looking at Near over TBH. I don't want to do that. I want to look at Near over Tether. Thank you. Freaking BitThumb or Cum or whatever. BitThumb keeps doing that. Let's take a look here. It has rallied from $1 all the way up to a local high of 1,300% to the upside at around $12.50. And it was sitting here in a consolidation pattern not too long ago, just right there. In fact, it was not even really a consolidation pattern so much as it was an ascending triangle pattern. Unfortunately for everybody in Near, it had a bit of a near miss. It tried to rally and break to the upside. I see you guys, you thought that pun was funny? Oh, you haven't seen nothing yet. Just wait until we get to Bitcoin. I got some locked and loaded in the chamber, guys. Make sure to like for that. Anyway, we dropped bearish out of this pattern. Unfortunately, that is not a good sign for Near, obviously. Taking a look here at the volume, you can see that the volume is moving to the downside quite a bit. And also taking a look here at LuxAlgo, you can see that Near has had a sell signal flash on it, and we're pushing down here into the EQ cloud. I'm going to be very brief on my analysis on Near, because here's the thing, guys. It is nearly identical to the rest of the cryptocurrency market right now. I told you more was coming, guys. I warned you. Look, you can't at me. I told you it was coming. It has been following the rest of the cryptocurrency market to the downside. Is this a good time to be buying this project? Quite frankly, if you like the fundamentals on this project, and open transparency here, guys, I have not yet had an opportunity to research into this project. I'm bringing you the technicals right now. In future content, we can bring you the fundamentals if you are interested. If you like the fundamentals on this project, you've done your due diligence, now might not be a bad time to go ahead and try and load up a position on it. The reason I'm saying that is because it currently has a quite low level down here. It's pushed all the way down to about 41 on the RSI. But the thing you do have to keep in mind is that it does have some bearish RSI divergence. You can see this right here. There's an uptrending level of resistance right there, downtrending level of resistance right there on the RSI. So even though it is currently at a bit of an oversold position, this is the lowest it's been on RSI for literally months. I really do think that you could see more correction down here, maybe to around $7, which is this level, or maybe even $6, which is this level. So I think you're getting into territory of it being a decent buy, but I would probably hold off just a little bit for a slightly better deal. With that said, let's go ahead and move into our first intermission here, reading any super chats that we have, and then interact with chat a little bit, and then we're going to be moving on into Bitcoin, because we got a lot to talk about over there.
All right. Yeah, we've got some crispy chats here for you. We'll start it off with Crit Cats. And any possibility we could look into Theta one day as one of the altcoins?
Absolutely, absolutely. We can look into Theta. We should have. To be honest with you, I'm surprised we haven't looked into Theta already. I like Theta. Absolutely, we can. Let's take a note of that. I know, Kelly, you're watching. Can we look into Theta at some point in the future? That's a good one.
That's right, yeah.
We might have time at the end of this video. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see.
Positive outcome there for Crit Cats.
Yeah.
All right, Murray, Rogerio. I see random alts are pumping with Bitcoin and Ethereum still falling. Any reason for this? Is bullish for the total market that Bitcoin will come back?
That's a very good observation, and that's one of the things I like to see out of you guys here in the crypto markets. I want to see you looking for trends that pique your interest. You look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, like for example, jump onto my screen real quick and I'll show you this. Take a look here at the top 10. Everything is down on the last 7 days. Everything is down, discounting Tether, of course, it's a stable coin. Scroll down here. Everything is red. Almost everything is red. But then you look here and you see, okay, in the last 7 days, Sandbox is up 70%. Okay, Decentraland is up 70%. Okay, Crypto.com is up 70%. Okay, Avalanche is up 14%, but everything else is red. What gives? Well, I'll tell you what gives, and then this will kind of teach you a good lesson here. Decentraland, Mana, and the Sandbox, these are our two metaverse projects that have been pumping a lot ever since, I believe it was the 28th of October when Facebook announced that they were going to be rebranding to Meta. So they are going against the current. They are going against the tide because they have fundamentals on their side. That's why you need to be looking at fundamentals and technicals so that you can understand, hey, why are these projects outpacing the rest of the market by a lot? Is because there's a fundamental story developing, and the one that we have covered. Crypto.com, why is that up 52%? Well, they did just sign a $700 million deal with the former Staples Center over in Los Angeles. If you'd been watching this show, you would have caught that story yesterday because we talked about it yesterday. Why is Avalanche up? Frankly, I'm not quite sure why it's up compared to the rest of them, but I do know it's a good project. Maybe there's something in the news that I've missed, but you want to be looking at these things and saying, huh, that's really weird. Whenever you say, huh, that's strange, that's normally the way that you're going to find something very interesting that might give you some insight into what the market is going to do next. That's a very good point, very good observation.
Yes, you're thinking in the right direction there, Murray. Dirt Star Saloon.
Ooh.
Love to have
Full screen.
Love to have you look at Squid Moon. Probably not. New game, Phi token, develop reborn. Yeah, there's a lot of words there that are tough to read, and I see Squid Moon, so we're gonna move on.
Okay.
What you think of H-bar? It held strong while Bitcoin dipped down. Carlos C.
H-bar is one that we've done technical analysis here on the show before. I haven't looked at it recently, so it's hard for me to give you a up-to-date perspective on it, but I still need to look into it more before I'd really be comfortable answering that properly.
Okay, fair enough. The last one is, what do you think of Sheeb these days?
I've always thought Sheeb was a terrible investment because by the time you heard about it, it had already pumped. It's literally that simple. Look, if you had so here's the deal. This is really funny. I was watching a Bo Burnham video about this the other day. They're like, how did you become, what should people do to become rich and famous like you, is basically what he was asked on this talk show. And he's like, give up. Just quit. Just don't try. And he was like, that's like asking Taylor Swift, oh, did you do this because you were super talented? It's like, no, you know what? That's basically like saying, hey, go take your life savings and bet it on the Powerball. There's a lot of luck involved there. I'm not saying that these people are not talented. They're absolutely talented. But I am saying that if you're trying to make a lot of money in Sheeb or Dogecoin, you're basically going to Vegas and betting it all on red. That's really what you're doing. So I've never been a fan of them, especially because by the time you've heard of them, they've already pumped and you've already missed your chance.
Yep, the next one's about Chainlink. What about Chainlink? Please analyze. We did that yesterday.
I love me some Chainlink. I already bought some Chainlinks. One of the altcoins I am in now.
Yeah, and that was from Phantom Black 91.
Ooh,
and last one, the Sheeb comment was from D. Kennedy.
D. Kennedy.
All right. Jones Fundamentalist. Interesting name. Superb content, Jebb. Save Planet Earth, SPE. Community loves you. In line with the recent UN climate change conference, SPE will soon launch their first ever in the crypto space. Carbon credit, NFT, on Phantasm chain. Appreciate your input.
Interesting. They're launching on Phantasma, huh? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Look, I'm not going to wade into the climate change thing. What I will tell you guys is I love the Earth, and I want the Earth to be very, very well taken care of, and I think that's awesome that you guys are supporting the channel, so I very much appreciate you on that. Thank you guys so very much. We got one more from Eric Leon that I think we can read. Do you see that?
That's correct. Eric Leon says, this hasn't really felt like a bull market at all for the past few months. Besides the blue chip cryptos and a few altcoins, nothing has been going well.
It's a good point. Here's the funny thing about that. Bull markets don't feel like bull markets until the last quarter. Because when we say, hey, this feels like a bull market, normally what we're talking about is not a bull market. Normally what we're talking about is a hype cycle. The hype cycle at the end of a bull market can lead to a 5, 6, 7, 800,000% rally in the span of 6 months on Bitcoin, let alone anything else. But the first 3 quarters of a bull market is actually kind of slow. And that's why I think we have so much more to go, because of what you just said. It hasn't really felt like a bull market, except it's not that it hasn't felt like a bull market, it's that it hasn't felt like a hype cycle. What do you see at the end of a bull market? You see a hype cycle. We haven't seen that yet. We saw one earlier, well, not earlier, about a year ago when we ran up to 60K, but I would say that was just the beginning. I don't think we're done yet. Otherwise, we would be down back at $30,000 right now. We're not. We're sitting at 60. So I think that there's a lot more to come, and I don't think that that's a reason that we should be concerned. In fact, I think that's a reason that we should be excited for the future, is because I think a lot of that is coming, and all the on-chain technicals, fundamentals, they all agree with that. Now, speaking about Bitcoin, let's go ahead and jump on to Bitcoin, because I know you guys want to know what is happening to the king of crypto. Where are we going next? Well, if you saw my Twitter, I made a prediction yesterday that I am now kind of going back on, and I'm changing a little bit. I'm going to explain why. I made a prediction yesterday that I think Bitcoin will pull all the way back down to $53,000, or excuse me, $54,000 before the month is out. Now, I'm kind of I am not feeling as confident in that prediction now as I was yesterday, despite the fact that Bitcoin is actually lower right now than it was. I talked about this over on Twitter. 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to explain why I changed my tune. And number 2, I'm going to explain what it means when an analyst changes their tune, because it's actually not a bad thing. It's what you should be doing. Number 1, why did I change my opinion? Right now, the on-chain metrics are telling us that a insane amount of money is flowing into the cryptocurrency space. They're saying that a lot of people that were scared of this cryptocurrency market that we're going to sell have already sold, and a lot of the weak hands have been shaken out. The fundamentals are also telling us that billions and billions of dollars are pouring into the cryptocurrency space from not only institutions, but now also retail through new institutional products like Bitcoin futures ETFs. Now, I understand that Bitcoin futures ETFs don't have a direct impact on Bitcoin, but what they do have is they have an impact on the awareness of Bitcoin. And if somebody starts trading Bitcoin futures, they might say, I kind of like this Bitcoin thing. Go make a Coinbase account. A lot of that is happening right now, and all of these different cryptocurrencies are growing a lot. So here's the thing. The last 3 weeks, a lot of people have been saying Bitcoin's boring. Yeah, it kind of is boring. You know what? That's a good thing. That means that Bitcoin is growing. Have you ever realized this whole story of an overnight success story like this? Let's say you got this singer, right? And the singer is just blowing up, and he's like, #1. You know, he probably worked every single day for 10 years to get there. 9.5 of those 10 years were probably remarkably boring. The same thing is said for cryptocurrencies. The vast majority of the time in cryptocurrency is actually pretty boring. There's a lot of sideways movement that takes place. It's 1 out of 10 days or 1 out of 20 days that are incredibly excited. Not Charlie Lee. What's his name? I forgot his name from Fundstrat. Thomas Lee from Fundstrat once famously said that if you take out the 10 most bullish days of any given year in Bitcoin, pretty much every single year turns into a negative day. That means the entire bull market that has existed from when Bitcoin was trading at $0 all the way up to $69,000 a week ago, if you take out the 70 or 80 biggest days on that, Bitcoin's basically not really gone up much at all. And that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that Bitcoin can be boring. So I think what I did yesterday is I mistakenly took that boredom for bearishness. Now, I do think that Bitcoin is bearish. I do think that there are reasons to believe that Bitcoin could pull back down to 54,000. I'm not saying it's not possible. I am saying that I'm not quite as confident that it's as likely. Now, the second point I wanted to make was, what should we do whenever someone changes their opinion on cryptocurrency from one thing to another? One, I would say the very first thing that you need to do whenever you feel like a prediction that you have made is invalid or wrong or needs to be updated is you need to come out with humility and you need to say, hey, look, I think I was wrong and I need to change my tune, and here are the 3 reasons why, or here are the 5 reasons why. Here's the reason why I believe that. I'm an influencer. You guys, even though I encourage you not to, will make trades based off of what I say. So I think it's very important that I'm careful with my words. So when I said that I'm going back on that, what I told you guys is that in all humility, I think I may have been wrong on this prediction. So T-Shrimp, I want to ask your opinion, even before we get into the technical analysis here. What do you think? How do you think a trader, an investor, and an analyst should go about updating their predictions in light of new information or new trains of thought and reason?
Wow, that's a good question. Yeah, how do you update, your view of the market as new information becomes available? Well, I'd say emotional control is important. You don't want to start to let guilt creep in and make you feel, oh man, I keep getting this wrong. I keep predicting it wrong, and these news stories, they come out and they prove me wrong. You have to be able to filter all that out and just look at the data, look at what's true, and and that's going to give you the best foundation and the best mindset to be able to process what the news story actually is, or what that fundamental trade is. So I'd say as you're moving forward and you're seeing new information, take it in and have a process for taking it in. Definitely don't just take any new information in and make trades based on that.
Yep.
Have a priority, have a tranche of establish to be able to know how established a news source is or how unestablished it is. Kelly and I, when we're going through and sorting out what's good news and what's not good news, we definitely throw a lot of chaff to the side. That's for sure. So, overall, it's tough. It's a tough question. You have to answer it for yourself, but you can definitely have, clean processes to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, the cream from the crop, and move forward in that way.
I would say it is the #1 objective of it, maybe not #1, but at least one of the top 3 objectives of an analyst, to be able to change their opinion at the drop of a hat. Because if you can't do that, that means that your pride is blinding you and is making you want to stick to a prediction that you might not ought to be able to. Let's say, for example, there is a scientific discovery and you realize, oh, wait a second, that's not true because this thing was just discovered, and you don't change your tune, then you would be not following the reason. The reason has shown me that I don't know if I'm right on that. So we're going to talk about that. Let's go ahead and jump back onto my screen. We're going to do some technical analysis. I'm going to kind of break down what I think is going to happen here in light of the new trains of thought that I have had introduced to me over the last 24 hours. Let's just do a little bit of a brief market rundown. As you guys know, Bitcoin had a pretty big movement here, rallied all the way up to $69,000. It's been in a downtrend for the last week and a half. That is me catching you up to speed because you're probably already aware of that. The very first thing I want to look at here is just basic candlestick analysis, guys. We have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of price action ever since we hit that all-time high. In fact, you could argue 9 because we actually hit it on the 10th. In those 9 days, we have seen 3 days of green, and those were not very large green candlesticks. In that time, we have also seen RSI push all the way down to 42. What that basically means is that the bears are in charge right now. When we see this happen, it means that the bears have pushed the market to a certain extent where they are now the ones in power. When you push below 50, it means that the bears are the ones that are able to drive this market, and that's very clear because we've seen that happen. Now, one of the first things that I want to point out here is that Bitcoin isn't a clear trend. It isn't a clear downtrend. That means 2 things. One, it means we should be betting on that trend until it ends. But 2, it means we should also be looking for the end of that trend. Is Bitcoin bottoming out right now? That is kind of the question on everyone's mind, and for good reason. We want to know, is Bitcoin at the bottom or is the bottom lower? The change I'm making to my prediction is I'm not as convinced. I still think it's possible, but I'm not as convinced that $54,000 is the bottom. I think it might be a little bit higher now, and I'm going to show you why. But I kind of want to jump around here a little bit and look at the 4-hourly chart before we even jump into our technicals. The first thing I want to show you is that Bitcoin looks like it's trying to put a rounding bottom here in place, although you could also argue that this is a descending triangle pattern. With that said, we're going to come back to the 4-hourly chart just and kind of lay that out for you because it's important for what we're going to talk about here on the daily chart. First thing that we're going to talk about here on Bitcoin is the fact that we are bearish on the MACD, and we have been pushing to the downside quite a bit. The histograms on MACD have been continuing to grow, and that means that the market is continuing to move bearish. Now, one thing I want to do here is I want to show you kind of a longer-term perspective on Bitcoin. The first thing to point out here is that even though there's short-term bearishness going on over here, notice there are higher highs and higher lows forming on the MACD. over the last 6 months, that does indicate that we're in a long-term uptrend. So I just want to remind you, just in case you've forgotten the last 5 minutes, that we are in a bullish trend over the long term. It's not something that we should be worried about. I repeat that a lot because I know that there are people that are newer to the space, or maybe you've been here for a long time and you still struggle with this. I do also, so don't worry about it. Where when the market goes down, we kind of like freak out and lose our heads. Don't want you to do that. Don't freak out. We're all good. Everything's fine on the Western Front. Everything all clear on the Western Front. That was a great book. Nevertheless, I'm off topic. Let's go ahead and look here into the candlesticks also. There's one final thing I want to look at here on the daily chart, which is this. There is a red-green-red formation that has taken place here. As you guys know, I am actually very interested in what the candlestick formations say. It gives us insight into how the bulls and the bears are interacting. We can see that there was a bearish engulfing candlestick formation that happened here on November the 14th to November the 15th, and then just the last 3 days, we've had a red-green-red formation. Both of those are bearish. One of them is a bearish trend beginning indicator. It starts a bearish trend, and then the next one, this red, green, red, is a bearish trend continuation pattern, and that's something that we need to be paying attention to, because right now, one of the things that is propping Bitcoin up is this promise of bullish RSI divergence. As you guys can see, I'm kind of on a spaghetti chart here. Let me go ahead and go to a cleaner chart. As you can see right here, Bitcoin has an uptrending level of support right there, a downtrending level of support right there. On price action, if you see an uptrending level of support followed by a downtrending level of support on RSI, that is indicative of something called bullish RSI divergence, which should mean that the market is going to move to the upside. But if we don't manage to hold above our local low here at 56,700, then this is going to be invalidated. It's not going to be bullish RSI divergence. It's just going to be RSI and price action. There's going to be no relation there. So the thing and the price that you want to be looking out for now, the price that we wanted to look out for before was 61,300. We still want to look out for that as resistance now. The price that we want to look out for as support is right down here at $56,359. The level that we want to look out for as support is sitting right up here around 61,300 to 61,500. I've talked about this level of 61,000 many times. I'll give you a quick brief history of it. It is the top of the VPVR. There's like 10 reasons why that level is very important, but that is the main one. So just keep that in mind. Right now, you need to be paying very close attention to 61.5 and then very close attention to 66. I can speak. 56,400. These longer streams are killing me, guys. I'm sorry. 56,400. If Bitcoin falls below that, then the thing that is holding it up right now, which is that bullish RSI divergence, is going to be invalidated. We want to be making sure that we're paying close attention to that. Anyway, looking down here to the 4-hourly chart, the next thing to show you guys does show up over here on our other chart. I'm actually going to just draw it right here. There is a long-term uptrending level of support, and it looks very similar to the one I just drew with that RSI divergence. It's actually been in play for quite some time. You can see it moving back all the way over here, basing off of these local highs back here, some of these local lows here, and this bottom right here. This is currently support for Bitcoin. Now, this shows us that it is the other level that we want to be taking a peek at. We also want to be taking a peek at the fact that there is a flat level of support or an uptrending level of support, whatever you want to call it right here. And basically what that means is that Bitcoin is in a falling, in a symmetrical triangle pattern, which is known as a bear pennant. So, quick recap. Resistance at 61,400. Support at 56,400. Those are perfect inverses of each other. That's why it's so hard to say. Then we also have a bear pennant right here. And then if we do a simple price target of that bear pennant, unfortunately, that bear pennant does point down here towards 52,000, which would substantiate the claim that I made yesterday that I think we're going down to 54. And as I said, I think that's still in the cards. But what I think is going to happen now, based on all of the new thought processes that have entered my head over the last couple of days, is I think Bitcoin is going to break bearish here, but I don't think it's going to follow all the way through with the price target. I think it's going to break bearish, and it's going to come down here to around 56,000, and it's probably going to bounce there rather than all the way down to 54,000. Like I said, 53 and 54 is still in the cards, but I'm starting to think it's a little bit less likely. There are several reasons why I think that. One of them has to do with the histograms down here on the MACD. You can see on the MACD on the 4-hourly chart, we are losing the bearishness on the histograms. And even though we haven't crossed bullish yet, we're very close, and we could see a bullish MACD cross on the 4-hourly chart. That could lead to a major reversal on the 4-hourly chart, leading us back up to our resistance at 61.5, which could reignite this rally. And just remember, guys, there is so much money sitting on the sideline waiting for any hint of bullishness because we've just had this big correction that is waiting to buy up. So if we start rallying, we start confirming rallies, especially if we get up here above 66K, it's going to be all hands on deck and Bitcoin's going to move quick. Just want you to know that. This is not a market that's going to move slowly when this thing starts to kick off. Another reason why I think we might be closer to the bottom than I originally thought, is that down here on the 4-hourly chart, you can see we bottomed out on the RSI. In fact, we hit 25 on the RSI. If you take a look at the RSI's the 4-hourly chart RSI, the last time we went this low on RSI and went below this was back here at a very large bottom, and then we also hit it back down here at a pretty big bottom. But the point is here, Bitcoin was pretty much bottomed out the last couple of times it hit RSI down here. That's historical analysis, and that's kind of what I mean by looking back at the previous market. What did it do back in history? What is it going to do here? So let's go back up to the daily chart. Let's look at Market Cipher, because Market Cipher also has some very interesting things pointing in the direction of potential bullishness down on the 4-hourly chart. But we're going to start with the daily chart. So take a peek at this. Right now, there are some interesting things happening on the on Market Cipher on the daily chart. We saw that there was a pretty obvious sell signal that happened several days ago, about November the 11th. If we take a look at the price action, November the 11th was pretty much the top of this. Market Cipher kind of, to be honest with you, called this downtrend, and we talked about that, and we did expect it to happen. Here we saw a red dot. We saw VWAP drop below the 0 level. We saw money flow round, and we saw RSI round. Now, what does that mean? I know that's a lot. Let me break it down. These RSI lines, these lines up here, they represent the strength of the bulls and the bears in brief. It's a complicated mathematical formula, but pretty much it represents who's in charge. If it's way up here, it means the bulls are in charge. If it's way down here, it means the bears are in charge. Moving to the downside means the bears are taking power. What does this line right here represent? This is called the money flow. That represents how much money is, well, flowing into and out of the space. When the money flow is down, it means that less money is flowing into the space. Notice it's still green, which means money is still flowing into the space, but it's not flowing into the space as fast as it was a week and a half ago. So it trending to the downside is a bearish signal. Now, this red dot represents something called the momentum pushing to the downside. What does the momentum show us? Well, the momentum shows us that the movement of the market is trending in a certain direction and is gaining pressure in that direction. So it's basically saying, hey, the market is, you know, it's got momentum in that direction. If you've ever studied physics, you get a train. Momentum is, you know, the F equals ma, force equals, anyway, the point is, when you start moving in a direction, it takes an equal and opposite force to slow that down. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. There's momentum to the downside. And then the VWAP right here is the simplest one. It means volume weighted average price. It represents what the price of the asset has been over the last certain amount of time compared to where it is now. VWAP is telling us that we're below the recent average price. So bull bear strength, momentum of the market, money flowing in and out of the market, where the market has been ever since the last certain amount of time. That's what those four are telling us. All four of them told us in this area right over here on November the 11th that we're entering a downtrend. That's what we did. What are they telling us now? They're telling us that we could be looking for a bottom, but it's not here yet. They could be telling us that this RSI could be moving up to the upside relatively soon because it's rounding, but it hasn't started yet. This money flow moving to the downside looks like it might be rounding out to push back up, but we haven't seen an inflection point like this just yet. The momentum says, hey, we're pushing to the downside and we could have a movement to the upside, but we haven't seen that inflection point yet. VWAP's pushing to the upside. It is the first of these four that's giving us any kind of bullish sign. So what are we seeing right now? There was a sell signal 7 days ago. In 2 or 3 days, we might see a buy signal, but it's way too early to tell on that. Right now, what we're seeing is that, hey, there's a tiny little tropical storm off in the Atlantic, and it very well could turn into a Category 5 hurricane and slam Florida. We're from Florida, so that's a relatively scary and realistic analogy. Or it could do nothing, could fizzle out, but the chance is there. You see what I mean? That's kind of what we're looking at right now on the Market Cipher B. Anyway, looking down to the 4-hourly chart, it's a little bit of a different story. Really interesting story down here. Right now, we are seeing that the RSI is really, really low, like almost down to the 0 level, which means that it is slammed to the floor. On top of that, we can see that momentum is pushing to the upside, and we can see that the money flow has pushed to the downside, and the VWAP is pushed to the downside. All of this says that we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish, we're bearish. That's pretty much what it's saying on the 4-hourly chart. On the 4-hourly chart, it says, hey, look, guys, we're probably going to break bearish below this uptrending level of support that we drew earlier. And that kind of makes sense if you look at the candlesticks right here. We've had 4 very strong bearish candlesticks, and we've seen 4 very large volume bars that are bearish in nature. That being said, similarly to what we saw on the daily chart, at some point, this is going to start rounding out. Probably several more candlesticks away than just 3 or 4, but at some point, these are going to round out. And when they do, somewhere in here, that could be a buying opportunity. Might be today, might be tomorrow, but just take a peek at it because at some point, you are going to find a bottom. Right now on the 4-hourly chart is basically just saying bearish. Now, the hourly chart is, funnily enough, a different story. The hourly chart is telling us that the money flow here is rounding to the upside, and we're about 2/3 of the way through, which is generally where you'd want to be trying to put a buy signal in. You can see we're trying to put a bottom here in the market cipher momentum, and RSIs are still trending to the downside. VWAP is moving up. Basically, what this means is that we have two indicators, VWAP and money flow, saying that we could be moving bullish, but then we don't see the RSI and the momentum doing it. Again, just like the other two, it means that we could be seeing a bullish setup, but we haven't seen it just yet. So we're going to zoom out. We're going to reset, and then we're going to look at this market through the lens of Lux Algo now. What is Lux Algo telling us? It's going to give us a different perspective on things. First and foremost, let's take a look here at the daily chart, because there's a very important update that I am looking for that has not happened yet. That would be this sell signal has occurred on Lux Algo. If we look down here on Lux Oscillator, you can see that Lux Oscillator has topped out and it has started moving to the downside. But we have not seen a red trend catcher come into play just yet. If we do, that is going to lead me to be pretty bearish, and that will absolutely lead me to think we're going to 56,000. However, it hasn't happened yet. And if Bitcoin does manage to bounce anywhere above 56, 57, 58, that might not happen, which means that we're not getting a confirmed signal on Lux Algo. The strategy that I like to use with Lux Algo, which, by the way, guys, today's show is brought to you by Lux Algo. If you want to get access to it, you can sign up for it with the link in the description box down below. Use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, at checkout for 20% off. The strategy I use is use the sell signal, use the trend catcher, which is this line right here, and then also use the oscillator. If the oscillator is pointing in one direction, the sell signal has taken place, and the trend catcher is moved in that direction, then great. I would say that's a confirmed signal. Right now, we have 2 of 3 confirmations, but you kind of need all 3 to really be confident. Let me give you an example of that. Strong buy signal, trend catcher went red to green, Lux Oscillator pushed to the upside. I would say this right here was a confirmed buy signal that allowed us to move to the upside in a big way. Over here, we saw this sell signal, and we saw the trend, and we saw the oscillator was moving down, but we didn't see a red reversal on the trend catcher. I would not have called this a confirmed sell signal. So that's why it's very important that you don't just look at Lux Algo for its buy and sell signals. That's not the point. That's not the way that it was designed to be used. It was designed to be used with the rest of these in a strategy like what I just showed you. So just a little bit of an update on that. Anyway, what is it saying on the daily chart? It's saying that we are setting up to potentially have a very bearish signal, but we haven't gotten confirmation yet. That's pretty much what it's saying right now. No big update there, but if it does do that, then we will inform you. Now, the 4-hourly chart is interesting because it's telling us something different. The 4-hourly chart, just like we showed you earlier, by following our strategy, we saw Lux Oscillator push to the downside, we saw a sell signal, and we saw a trend catcher. Okay, boom. I would call this a confirmed sell signal. Well, guess what? It was a very good sell signal. We pushed from $66,000 down to $58,000. But here's the funny thing. On Lux Oscillator, we just saw a green dot flash. What does that mean? Well, if you look in history, green dots down here are very uncommon. And the last time that we saw a green dot flash on Lux Oscillator was all the way back over here on literally the day that we hit the bottom at $40,000. Does that mean that we're going to see the exact same thing happen today? Does that mean that we have hit the bottom? No, it doesn't. In fact, it looks like we're breaking the support level, as I told you I thought we would earlier right now. It doesn't mean that we've hit the bottom, but it does mean to be on the lookout for it. This green dot is telling us, hey, look, we're still bearish, we're still pushing to the downside, but sometime soon, you might see a V-bottom come in. We might see a giant push to the downside followed by a giant rally that actually outpaces the initial downtrend. So be watching for that, because if that happens, it's going to be a big deal. Now, down on the hourly chart, it's a little bit of an interesting story here. We also saw a green dot over here right around the same time. We have not seen this really come to pass just yet. We still have a strong sell signal right here on Lux Algo, and I would encourage you to be paying attention to that, because I do think personally we're going to break bearish out of that symmetrical triangle pattern today. So let's go out to the daily chart. Let me break down what all of this means. Let me kind of give you the TLDR on this, and then we're going to go into some news. Right now, the resistance you need to be looking at on Bitcoin is 61,500. We need to get above that for us to start an uptrend. Right now, we also need to be watching 56,500 because we want to hold that, because if we don't, then we're probably going to push down to that initial price target I made yesterday of 54. We're sitting in this symmetrical triangle pattern right now on the 4-hourly chart, and I think it's going to break bearish based on all the indicators that I just showed you. If we do, we'll probably go down to 56K, test this level of support, and when I say in the title that we're at a decision point in the next 7 days that's going to dictate what the next month does, because I did say that, this is what I mean. If we push all the way down to $56,000, how we interact with this level of support is going to tell a lot. If we bounce here, and if the whales come in and buy up the dip, then we'll probably be able to rally all the way back up to all-time high within the next 2 weeks. We could be even at $80,000 by the end of the month. That's only 12 days away, by the way. If we don't hold $56,000 and the bearish momentum is too strong and we start pushing to the downside, good news is we have support at 53 and 54,000 that we talked about yesterday. Bad news is it would probably push the all-time high back a month or more. So when I say that there's a decision point coming up, the decision point is at $56,000. Before we move into news, T-Shrum, I want to get your take on that. Do you agree with that outlook on the market? And if not, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I was reviewing the super chats, just to be completely honest.
Sure.
I was looking into them, so I didn't catch the last couple statements.
So
there.
the main thing is $56,000. That's that level that we set as a support level on the 28th of October. That's what I'm calling that decision point. If we were able to hold that, do you think that we would be able to quickly bring back the bullish momentum? And if we're not able to hold that, would that lead to a lot more bearish action?
Look, I think you're absolutely right. Whenever people are asking me, like my grandparents and like people like that are asking me, should I buy Bitcoin? And they were asking me that about a week ago, and 2 weeks ago, and I was like, well, let's wait a little bit for a correction, and here we are. And what I told them though is that when it corrects, you need to buy it quickly, because Bitcoin does not trade like stocks where it does the full pattern. It often will get bought up before it completes the bottom of a pattern, and so, you know, I do think it's going to get bought up pretty quick. Institutionals are looking to get in, and it's going to get bought up.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, like I said, there are also other levels to be looking at. Just taking a look at VPVR here. Another level to look at is $57,000. That's a local high. Also $55,000. And of course, what I said earlier, which was $53,000 to $54,000. There's a lot of support levels. So take this $56,000 level with a grain of salt. It might be $1,000 below that. It might be $1,000 above that. But the point is, somewhere in here, in the mid-50s, is going to be very, very important for us to see a bounce come into play. Now, with that said, I'm going to briefly run through a couple of news stories here. We're going to be kind of quick on this. The first thing I want to show you has to do with this chart over here on fxstreet.com. The Bitcoin 30-day MVRV, which shows the unrealized profit loss of all the addresses that have acquired Bitcoin in the past 30 days, suggests that the leading cryptocurrency is undervalued and may see a recovery. I'm not going to jump into what the 30-day MVRV ratio is and go really in depth with that. But you can see it's pushed below the baseline here. Whenever it does that, when was the last time it did it? It did it back in mid-September. What was happening in mid-September? Let's do some historical analysis here. Oh, right, we were bottoming out. If you look at the MVRV, just kind of plotted over Bitcoin, then you can see, hey, whenever we're in a big uptrend, it's pushing way up here. Whenever we're in a downtrend and we're getting oversold, we're pushing to the downside. So it's not as low as it was in September, indicating, as I said, we could see some more movement to the downside, but it is saying we're starting to get into that oversold territory, which is very healthy for the market. It is something that I'm actually very excited about. Now, another one I want to show you here is Houston Rockets add NYDIG as Bitcoin sponsor. The team will be paid in Bitcoin. Huh. Wow. The Bitcoin-centric financial services firm is sponsoring the NBA team and its arena and will custody Bitcoin in its paying for the deal. The NBA's Houston Rockets took another step into the cryptocurrency industry today, announcing a partnership with Bitcoin financial services firm NYDIG, and the alliance will see the team paid in Bitcoin. NYDIG will offer the team's official Bitcoin services partner and Bitcoin platform, and the companies will work together to develop educational content and community initiatives. If you guys don't know, NYDIG is a gigantic company, and they have billions of dollars that they are working with. This is a massive deal, and I'm kind of going to breeze over this, but I did just want you to know that this is another one of those stories that is very similar to what's going on with Crypto.com. This actually dropped a couple days ago, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Now, I also want to throw it to T-Shrum really quickly here, because Jordan Peterson and Safadian Amos, Jordan Peterson being the author of 12 Rules for Life and several other great books, and then Safadian Amos being the author of probably the #1 must-read in cryptocurrency, the Bitcoin Standard. If you haven't read the Bitcoin Standard, you absolutely need to. They both were on a podcast, and Jordan Peterson talked about buying more Bitcoin. Jordan Peterson is pissed off about inflation, and quite frankly, I agree with him. Excuse the French there, I apologize. T-Shrum, what is your take on Jordan Peterson and Safadian Amos and their conversation?
Well, I am about 80% of the way through it on Spotify. If you haven't listened to it, take a listen. Jordan also did a podcast on Bitcoin a couple weeks ago as well, so he's got 2 episodes on Bitcoin. I'd recommend listening to them both. You know, what I wrote for the notes was it's an eloquent and deeply nuanced argument for Bitcoin's preeminent position in the currency space in general. You know, the author has I don't pronounce his name a lot. Was it Safadian Amos? Safadine.
Safadine Amos.
It's a difficult.
This is a difficult
This
word.
is the seat to sit in.
You are the seat to sit in to be mispronunciation seat. There you go. It's cursed.
But Safadine, he clearly has spent a lot of hours.
Oh, he has.
Studying the way that this technology works, and it's a really insightful conversation. And Jordan Peterson's one to not just in so many interviews you hear just the host kind of capitulating and just taking a lot for granted and just assuming a lot of things. Jordan Peterson's not like that. He likes to really cut deep and follow his curiosity, and he asks, well, but what does that really mean though? And he gets in there, and that's my Jordan Peterson.
Have you ever seen Kermit T. Frog here? Have you ever noticed that Jordan Peterson sounds a little bit like Kermit the Frog? Have you ever seen a video where the two of them talk side by side? It's really funny.
Oh, not only have I seen the video, there was a whole when Jordan was first getting big, there was a whole subreddit.
Let me tell you a little bit about what is it? Lobster? I need to tell you a little bit about lobster. Lobster and their emotions and how they. I'm sorry, I'll stop. Anywho.
Yeah, but it's a great interview. I definitely recommend going and watching it or listening to it.
What did he just play a sound effect? What did he play?
It was the laughing.
Oh my
laugh
gosh.
Track.
Oh my goodness.
Was it Seinfeld all of a sudden?
Down.
But
oh my gosh.
I mean, this is probably one of the more serious aspects of the show. We're just getting silly with it. But look, I mean, I can't recommend it enough. It's definitely a very sophisticated, nuanced take. And also, Safadine mentions this concept of the Byzantine generals problem.
Yes,
which is what Satoshi solves with Bitcoin. And when you start to get to that level, and you also take that journey with somebody like Jordan Peterson, it's a profound conversation that it is what, you would imagine like folks like Benjamin Franklin or even, Caesar are having those type of conversations with their advisors and the influences of their time. And this is we like to be light on this show, but it's a very, very serious conversation.
And one of the big reasons why this is important, and look, I know Jordan Peterson is a politicized name. Whether you like him or hate him, I happen to think he's a decent author. I'm not going to weigh in on his politics. Whether you like him or hate him, he's very influential. He is extremely influential. The vast majority of the world knows his name nowadays after what happened in 2016. People listen to him. You might like that, you might not, but the point is he has a voice. And if he is stepping up for Bitcoin, that is a good thing simply for brand awareness. By the way, if we hit 2,000 likes, maybe I will say some more things in my Kermit/Jordan Peterson voice. So hit the like button, and then you might get more of that. You guys apparently thought that was pretty funny. But let's go ahead and read some Super Chats. I think we got a few.
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
And I am going to be the one to read those Super Chats.
Yes, you are, T-Shroom.
All right, so I want to start out with some call-outs. T-Shroom has the voice of a movie trailer. Well, I don't know where you're getting that idea.
In a world.
But
I saw somebody say earlier that you need to release a meditation series.
A meditation series?
Yes,
I actually could potentially
You
talk
could
about
potentially do that.
I have done that. I won't drop
We got the
name
audio
on it.
equipment. We could do that.
Yeah, we could definitely do
that.
So Crit Krats, stay tuned. We may have some meditation coming your way.
Coming your way.
DS donated $5 and said, I hope you look more into TLOS. It's an Avalanche competitor for ETH.
Ooh.
It's being used on Sushi Swap, and it's something I've never heard of. Has first cross-chain DEX Elk Finance. So there's a new mammal is taking the scene in the crypto space.
Elk Finance. There you go.
Elk Finance.
Crypto mammals are in the game.
Yes, it's got everybody rutting for gains. Victor Sandovic donated $4.99 in good old USD.
Woo.
Can you do a quant analysis, por favor?
We can do quant in another stream. I don't think we're going to have time for it today, but I would be more than happy to look at it in future.
And quant, of course, being quantitative would be the full expansion of that word. Ed Charles donated $4.
No, it's just quant.
It's just quant?
The cryptocurrency is just quant.
Well, right. And so that, even here, even I, T-Shroom, can get things wrong every once in a while. Ed Charles donated $4.99. Having troubles deciding if I should invest in CT2A or using that money to invest in metaverse coins. A nice little tee up here for our team.
Ooh, so here's the deal. What I would encourage you to do, go check out our Google reviews. Type in CT2A, CT2A over into YouTube, over into Google. There's a bunch of reviews over here. You can just jump to my screen real quick and you'll see what I'm talking about. We have 60 Google reviews over here from people that have gone through the academy. We verify all of them. 4.9 stars out of 5. a lot of people on the online, they fake reviews. We don't do that. We stand for humility and integrity. We think that that is abhorrent. These are all real reviews. They've been verified by us. Go read some of them. See if it's worth your money. We have a full 14-day money-back refund guarantee. And on top of that, what you're going to learn in CT2A is likely going to help you to be able to find when and where to buy those projects rather than just, you know, buying into them. Although that is a decision that you have to make for yourself, and we fully support whatever decision you make. Full screen.
Yeah, obviously C22A would be the answer we'd go with there. We are going to cover Enjin later in the show, so we may see some price action. We don't know if it's the same as Sand and Meta, but I would also say that those names are a little bit overbought at this point.
I would say they are too, and that's one of the things I wanted to get at is that they have rallied a lot. And not that you've missed the train on them, because they'll probably do even better than they already have, but you're not getting a good deal, put it that way.
Yeah. Nick Charette. This was one from earlier, $5, and there's a lot of numbers in here. 2.618 fibs from 2017 top to follow bare bottom. 3,600 for ETH, 47K area BTC. Check first on monthly chart for the back testing of that level.
I'm going to do that. That's actually really interesting. 2.68. I'm trying to, I don't know where he's anchoring. He's probably, I guess he's anchoring right here. Yeah, he is anchoring right there. He is looking at, that's super interesting. Whoa, I never even saw that. Jump to my screen really quickly. That's really cool. You're absolutely right. Let me look at this. That needs to be right there at 20,000. So that means that our 1.5 to 1.618 Fibonacci level was exactly where we bounced before, and it also shows us that there is a 2.618% Fibonacci level up here at 46,700. Guys, this is why it's so invaluable to tune into channels like ours and other analyst channels, because you're going to find things like this that you wouldn't have noticed. I do analysis on this chart literally every single day. I know the Bitcoin chart like the back of my hand, and I did not know this was here. That's really cool. Great observation, and definitely it could come into play. I don't think we're going to go back down to 46K, but you can see the market respecting these levels at different points in history. We pulled back down to it here in April, and then we also pulled back down to it here in June. I think we got time for one or two more super chats before we jump into Ethereum.
Arden has donated $2 Canadian, so we'll put that with the rest of our Monopoly money. What are your thoughts on Luna?
Oh my God.
Dang.
What are your thoughts on Luna and the SEC issue?
I didn't know Luna was caught up with the SEC, to be honest with you. I'll look into that.
Neither did I. Crypto Alchemist, $5 of good old-fashioned United States dollars. Wherever the bottom lands, 50K, 53, 54K, would you consider that to be a prime location for a long, or would you wait to break the resistance higher?
Normally, when I enter if I'm looking to invest, absolutely, I'd be buying down there. When you're looking to trade, a lot of times what I like to do is I like to try and find a resistance level that had been broken, just like you just said. To be honest with you, I'd probably have to, as much as I'd like to say just long down there, you kind of want to see a little bit of a trend confirmation before you enter a long. Before we move on to our next one, I do want to read one final one from Ewan Kenobi, not Ewan Kenobi, as Tim so eloquently put it a couple weeks ago. Ewan Kenobi, that's a pun on Ewan McGregor and Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's a cool name. He said, Jebb, could you please speed rap in the Kermit voice? If we get to 5,000 likes by the end of the stream.
No.
But I know we're not going to get to 5,000 likes, so that's okay. But if we somehow get to 5,000 likes, I'll do something. I don't know what I'll do, but we can try something. I don't know. Anyway, guys, we're going to move on here to Ethereum, and we'll jump back into some super chats here in a little bit. Ethereum is a market that you guys have been extremely interested in, and for good reason. And Ethereum right now is in a very precarious spot. It has been in this massive ascending wedge for some time, and it moved almost to $5,000. It's been breaking bearish out of it right now, and it's been kind of smashing through different levels of support. We're wondering, hey, is it going to hold at 4,400? Nope. Now is it going to hold at $4,000? That's the question. Similarly to how Bitcoin has a red-green-red formation happening on it, Ethereum has the same. It has a red-green-red formation taking place right here. And we just take a look at some of our indicators, we can see that its RSI has pushed all the way down to a level that we have not seen take place ever since September. But that being said, it was not the bottom of the market back then at 30. The bottom of the market was at 35. It was not here at 41. So that is an argument to be made that we could go a little bit lower on Ethereum, but it does look like it's at least trying to get it's starting to get closer to a bottom and a level of support that it could bounce off of. Now, taking a look here at Lux Algo, the interesting thing here is that we have seen No, excuse me, I'm very sorry. A confirmed downtrend that has started based on Lux Algo with a sell signal, with a trend catcher turning red, and also with Lux Oscillator pushing to the downside. Lux Oscillator has turned very bearish, and it has been moving to the downside. And what we're seeing happen right now on Lux Algo is that we are sitting on top of the EQ cloud. What we've seen happen in past is the market has pushed pretty deep here into the Lux Algo's EQ cloud during an uptrend, but it will normally bounce off of it. You can see the same thing happening back over here. We tried to bounce off of it and failed, and that's how we went into a more prolonged downtrend. But in healthy uptrends, which I'd still say we're in a healthy longer-term uptrend, we'll normally bounce somewhere in the EQ cloud. That's what I think we're going to do here. I think we're going to bounce somewhere between this level at 3,600, which is a local level of support and resistance that we set from this inverse head and shoulders pattern we talked about a couple months ago, and $4,000. I think we're going to bounce somewhere in there. I don't know quite where yet. I am actually wanting to be confident at 4,000, but I just am not yet. I want to see Ethereum try and put a confident bottom in, and right now I've not seen that happen. I do think that it's going to have a support touch on this uptrending level of support at some point. I talked about that several days ago. This uptrending level of support has been in play ever since the bottom back on July the 20th, and I think we're going to touch it at some point, whether we trade sideways into it or crash straight into it. I think we're going to touch it, but I'm also inclined to say that I think we are going to hold it. Now, looking at some of our other indicators, I want to show you the MACD. The MACD is very bearish right now. We have had a bearish MACD cross about a week ago, and we've been crashing very, very quickly on MACD. That being said, we are also getting to one of the lowest points that we've seen in quite some time. If we do see MACD continue much lower, then we're going to see the lowest MACD level that we have seen since May when we saw that gigantic crash. And I think the correction that we're in right now is far more akin to this than to this. So I would expect the MACD to look more like what we did in this case than what we did in this case. In this case over here, we dropped all the way to negative 200 on MACD, whereas in this case, we only dropped down to negative 100. Right now, we are at negative 87. So over here, giant crash, don't think we're in this case. Over here, moderate drop down to 90 or 100. I think we are much more similar to this drop. We're currently at negative 90, so I think that we are getting close to the bottom. I don't think the bottom is necessarily in just yet. I'm not confident that it is, but I do think it's close. Similarly to how I'm saying on Bitcoin, I think the bottom is close, but I don't think it's in. I'm kind of getting that feeling like, hey, it's getting here, but it's not here just yet, if that makes sense. T-Shrum, where do you think the bottom on Ethereum is going to be, and are you looking to potentially buy in at these levels?
You know what I'm thinking when I'm looking at the 3,600. I mean, that's a pretty safe estimate for the bottom, I'd say. But when I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, could Ethereum potentially delay the resumption back upward for the market in general as it comes down, you know, and kind of rests down there? That's kind of what's on my mind. But I agree with your number of 3,600 there on Ethereum. On the 4 hour, those MACD lines are already pretty low. Yeah. So that may be a little bit of a bullish sentiment there, a little bit of a bullish indicator. But you know, I think Ethereum is going to want to dump a little bit faster than Bitcoin as well. So something to keep track on. Also, back over on Bitcoin, we are getting some comments. It did have a pretty decent wick down.
It did. No, it did while we were talking earlier. It wicked all the way down to 58,000, and that's kind of what I'm talking about here, guys. We had that massive wick down, and what happened? The bulls bought it back up. That's what I want to see at a bottom. That means that the bulls are saying, no, you're not going to crash this market, and stuff like that is why I'm changing my tune from what I said yesterday. Yesterday, I saw a lot of bearish action. Today, I'm seeing it change a little bit, and it's very important that I give you guys the most up-to-date information. That's why sometimes you are going to see us updating things. That's not a sign of a bad analyst. I'm not just saying that to pat myself on the back and protect myself. It is genuinely what you need to be trying to do as an analyst. Make sure you're using the most up-to-date information and keep updating your predictions as new information comes to light. Now, down on the 4 hourly chart, another thing I want to point out here on Ethereum, and then we're going to move on to some snapshots on some other altcoins, is right here you can see that Ethereum's RSI pushed all the way down to 22. Over here in September, we pushed down to 24. Here on September the 8th, we pushed down to 24. Back here when we were bottoming out, we pushed down to the 24, 25, 27, or 30 region. These are bottom signals. We saw bottoms in these territories, and we're seeing it happen now. Now, we saw 2 of these happen back over here. Are we in the first bottom, or are we in the second bottom? Time will tell on that. But the point I want to make is that Ethereum does look like it's getting close to that bottom, and to be honest with you, there are people that might argue right now that we're already there. So let us know what you think about that. Are we seeing a major bottom coming in on Ethereum, or is there more to go? Now, we're going to quickly look at Voyager. You guys have been asking about Voyager for quite some time. There are some interesting technicals over here. We're going to look at Voyager token over here on the coin market cap. It's sitting at rank number 102. And the reason we're looking at this briefly is because there was a pretty big rally overnight. If we look here on the 4-hourly chart, you can see a rally from $2.68 all the way up to $5, basically doubled in the span of 16 hours. A lot of people are wondering if this cryptocurrency is one that we could see just kind of blast off into the top 50, top 25. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. This came across my desk this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at the fundamentals yet, but I do want to look at the technicals. The technicals are saying, hey, this project needed a correction, and it's starting to get it. I like that. We can also see Lux Algo had a strong buy signal that kind of predicted this rally. You saw the strong buy signal come in on this candlestick, and then the next one went to the upside massively. If you had been using Lux Algo here, you probably would have had a good time. Make sure that you are using Lux Algo if you're not already. Check it out. Links in the description box down below. You can see it also gave you a take profit up here, and we push deep into those reversal zones. What I think is going to happen here is we're going to see a period of time where this project's going to cool off, and then there is a good opportunity that this could leg up a second time if the media starts taking it over. I mean, you can say we're part of the media now. We are talking about it. If the rest of the crypto YouTube space and the rest of the news media here in crypto starts talking about it, there is a good opportunity that this could moonshot again. I would encourage you to look heavily into the technicals. We don't have time to go into it fully here on this stream. We're trying to cover as many altcoins as possible. We're doing 10 a video now, so that's all I got for you today. But on Voyager, but be looking at it, be doing some fundamental research, because there is an opportunity for it to have a pretty big movement here if the media picks it up. Now, also want to look at Vechain. You guys are always asking me about Vechain. Jebb, you're saying Vechain, Vechain, Vechain. I get Vechain all the time. Number one, I like Vechain. I think it's a good project fundamentally. Let's go ahead and take a look at it over here on CoinMarketCap. It is sitting at rank 23. It's got a $8.5 billion market cap. And as I said, I do think it's a good project. But over here on the price action, the other thing I want to show you is that the daily chart is saying that we could be getting into an sold territory. I don't think we're there yet. I think this is going to need some more push to the downside. And it also has, as you can see here, some bearish RSI divergence that's been in play. But for the most part, I think it is starting to get into this territory of a good buying opportunity on Vechain. Like I said, we're trying to be quick on these, so I'm not going to go into all the reasons why. But I do think that Vechain is probably going to pull back down here to 11 cents, probably on this uptrend. After it bounces from there, then it breaking resistance maybe at 12 cents. That could be a long opportunity. But I don't think that this correction is over yet, but I do think you're getting close to a buying opportunity on Vechain. Now, really quickly, I'm going to look at the last one here, and then we're going to move into our discussion, and that will be Enj Enjin. You guys are asking about Enj Enjin a lot. Enj Enjin is in a very interesting predicament because it finds itself trying to break out of a symmetrical triangle pattern. It moved into it, formed it, broke bearish out of it, and now it's pushing to the upside. So this is a very strange chart, to be honest with you guys. You don't see this happen very often, where you're in a bullish pennant, and then when you break to the downside, then you try breaking to the upside. It's just like, market, make up your freaking mind. It's kind of hard to understand what it's doing here because it doesn't know what it's trying to do here. But the point I want to make to you here is this. If you're in Enj Enjin and you're looking for a long, you want to see it break this downtrend. Quite frankly, though, if it does, I wouldn't be very confident on it. So if you're trying to trade Enj Enjin, my, not advice, but my opinion right now is that it has a lot of really strange, seemingly unpredictable volatility, so I would be careful with it. But in general, it does seem to be doing relatively well in the market. Now, we're going to go to full screen. We're going to move into our final discussions. And I want to kind of ask T. Shrum a few different questions and get him... get you guys kind of up to speed on who T. Shrum is, why you should listen to him, why he's a part of our research team, and things like that. Can you tell us, Mr. Taylor Shrum, a little bit about how you originally actually got into cryptocurrency? What's your story?
Absolutely. Well, you know, I started in high school trading stocks quite a bit. A lot of the tech
Oh, you were
stocks.
that guy.
A lot of 3D printing stocks.
3D printing stocks.
Which I know you
my brother has 6 3D printers. My brother, you know, fun fact, my brother Caleb, who might be watching today, took a 3D printer to prom. I kid you not, I have pictures. He also made a Tinder account with his 3D printer and named it Sir Prince-a-Lot. It was really funny.
Wow, so you have a little bit more of a in-depth relationship there with 3D printing.
He is a
than I
meme
do.
lord. He's not crazy. I promise. He's just a giant troll.
Yeah, but I definitely got some, as Kellum likes to say, I paid up front some of my trading tuition.
Your trading tuition, yeah.
Trading 3D printing stocks. Never trade on poor internet is a great tip you don't hear a lot.
That's a good tip. I never thought about that.
And that's where I learned.
Oof.
Some interesting lessons. But yeah, 3D printing really set the fire in my mind of the potential for trading. You know, I was also reading a lot of books by Warren Buffett things like that, and Robert Kawasaki, something like that.
Kiyosaki.
Kawasaki.
is a motorcycle brand.
But I was a big crypto doubter, guys. I really was for a long time, and I couldn't really put my finger on exactly why I doubted crypto so much. I think really the barrier to entry was high. You know, you had to put like your social security number in to make a wallet sometimes, and I think I may have gotten to that step and kind of, you know, shirked away. But January of this year, it all changed, and I saw a new way. You know, the light really shone on me brightly, and I was able to see the truth. And so that's
like a movie scene.
So from there, I opened up like exactly, yeah.
The angels came down.
Yes,
you know,
yes. It was
like buy Bitcoin, T-Shrum. Don't miss your chance.
Yes, and I've now become christened in the Church of Crypto. But
okay.
So here we are, you know, in November, and I've learned a lot, man. You just learn so much about so many different things. But crypto is fascinating, and in January, what did I do? I traded, and I still trade on Robinhood, which I know it's not great. But I've opened wallets and for my more longer term strategy. And I trade a lot of different stuff, a lot of things that some people don't. Cake, I know, is one that we followed. Pancake Swap, we followed that. They're down quite a bit right now, down to 15. Was trending at 20. VPVR would definitely be somewhere around 20. So we want to, you know, just kind of get back to the show here. But I mean, yeah, essentially, you know, I started in January, was a doubter for a long time, but I saw the light.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you another question here, because you've done a lot of trading, it sounds like. What's hard, and this is a question, funnily enough, that T-Shrum wrote because he wants me to ask him this. T-Shrum, what is harder to wrestle with as a trader, fear or greed?
Wow, that is a good question.
Oh, okay, I see how it is. So just go ahead and pat yourself on the back there a little bit. There you go, perfect.
You can just tell the intellect that went into that question. No, but okay, so I think early on, fear. I think fear gets you, and you sell for a loss, and that really can probably turn a lot of traders into never again traders. You know, open up a 401k and let the guy at the corporation you work for trade for you type of traders. And, you know, a lot of people kind of leave the journey at that point. And so, but later on in your career, I think you get more, you fall more into greed. And I'd say day to day, I definitely suffer a lot more from greed than fear. At this point, you know, especially the folks here at Crypto Jebb, we know we've grown kind of callous to fear of that the markets, especially crypto, is going to just tank out of nowhere, and that we're going to lose a bunch of money. You know, so then, you know, the other vice would be greed, and so, you know, sometimes you don't take as much profit as you could, and you wait too long, and that would be in the trading side, not the investing, but. Yeah, so that would be my answer to an excellent question. I think the more you mature, the more you're susceptible to greed, and at first you're definitely going to be faced with more fear. And if you're getting into industries or asset classes you've never traded before, I'd say you kind of flip back over to fear, and that's going to be your vice.
Yeah.
But again, good question.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good question. Well, Smay, let me ask you the same question. What have you found yourself to struggle with more, fear or greed?
To be honest, guys, neither. I don't struggle with either.
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, all right.
Excellent.
All right, gotcha.
Cold-blooded.
No, but ultimately, actually, like I mean, I'm just kind of in this mode of dollar cost averaging and kind of taking my time. So I wouldn't say it's fear or greed necessarily. I'm just cautious. I think sometimes I might get overambitious and maybe put too much in, and that might be leaning more towards the greed category. But I don't do a lot of high risk trading, so it's not really something that I have to worry about.
You know, Walter Brown just said in chat something very intuitive. He said, if you have little, it's greed. If you have lots, it's fear, in my opinion. What do you think about that, T-Shrum?
That's interesting. I think that in a narrow, as a narrow point, I think that's absolutely true. I think when I was writing that question, you know, again, in one of the higher moments of my intellect, I think I was thinking about it much more broadly.
Okay.
But I think about it a lot because I've recently...
You hear that? He's not narrow-minded like you, Walter Brown. That's basically what he's saying. We're not coming at you. It's a joke, of course. We love our narrow-minded. No, I'm joking.
I think he raises a good point though, and it is a good point. I do generally agree with that.
It's a very good point, and I can tell you from experience, because I've accrued a lot of cryptocurrency in the last 4 years, that it has kind of gone slightly more from greed to fear because I don't need to be greedy about it anymore. I've already made good money in crypto, and I can kind of agree with you on that. So that does make a lot of sense. With that said, guys, let's go ahead and read a couple more super chats and we'll wrap it out. I think we'll have time to read all of them, right? Do you have all of them there?
Yeah, we can go ahead and plow right on through. So Ben's 310 donated approximately $5, all in Raven coin before ETH 2.0 release.
Ooh, there you go.
That's the sentiment, and that was replicated twice. Whether that was our team or whether they donated twice, I don't know.
Yeah,
we're going to move right on down to Matt C donating roughly $10. Hey, everyone, go check out Kelly Kellum's Twitter stream tonight at 8
Boom.
EDT. So get the time zone right.
Eastern Daylight Time.
EDT.
Definitely do that, guys.
It's a great live discussion, and I agree.
Yeah.
I've been able to tune in for Kelly Kellum's Twitter streams. I won't be able to join tonight, Kelly. I'm actually playing live at a bar with my band. So,
oh, really? Dang.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
cool.
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
What instrument do I play? The drums. Fun little fun
That's awesome.
fact. Yeah. All right, one more. $2 in a foreign currency. I think it's euros, potentially. Hi, guys. Keep up the great work. Love ya.
I believe that's pounds.
Pounds.
Hello,
Pounds.
guys. Thank you, John. Thank you, John Billcliffe. Thank you, buddy. Then we got one from Paul Zimmer, too.
Paul Zimmer, $20. What's up, boys? Keep up the amazing work. You guys are awesome. Could you hit me up with some TA on Gala? Gala is a big upcoming blockchain gaming platform. I got in at 9 cents. Have you heard of Gala? Long-term holder.
We will be able to hopefully look at that in the future. We are trying to look at more cryptocurrencies, so in the future, that might be able to go on the list. Guys, make sure to tune in to Kelly Kellum's Twitter. He just posted it in the chat over there. He is one of the people on our research team, so shout out to Kelly. He helps to put together the show every single morning, and we're very thankful for him. He's got a lot of great content over on his Twitter, and by the way, I do too, so check out my Twitter as well, at CryptoJebb. T-Shroom, your Twitter, what is it?
My Twitter is...
Your what?
You know, we're all having fun, I think.
Okay.
I think we're all having fun. It's at T-Shroom.
Okay.
It may surprise you.
How do you spell shroom? Shroom like a mushroom?
T-S-H-R...
Oh, he has a lower third. Never mind.
It's right here.
Cool.
It's
Boom.
right here where you can see it.
There you go.
And everyone
And what
else.
about you, Smay? Where can they find you? Because you got a journey going on.
Yeah, guys, you can follow my weight loss updates and my horrible price predictions over at Thicky Smay.
Speaking of price predictions, do we have the price predictions?
I mean,
Tim left with them,
That's
didn't
for
he?
tomorrow, right?
kinda,
Yeah, well, that's for
Well,
tomorrow.
it's
We're
for
going to look at that tomorrow.
I'm not winning. I'll tell you
Oh
now.
my gosh. I might end up winning. My prediction for the end of the week was 58,500. We are sitting at 58,500. So we'll see where we are in 24 hours. Tell us who you guys think is going to win. But I think we're all winners today because we learned more about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. If you guys got value out of today's show, make sure to hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 2,000 likes before we wrap it out. If you guys enjoyed today's stream, also make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're fast growing, and we would definitely love for you to join our community. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. You can find all of those links down below, and make sure to sign up for Lux Algo with the link in the description box down below. The reason we promote it is because we believe in it, and we use it every single day. You can use coupon code Jebb, J-E-B-B, to get 20% off at checkout, and you'll be helping not only to support your own trading and analysis, but you'll also be able to help to support this channel. Before I go, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh,